Hey everyone, Sammy here, your host of the Digital Marketing Therapy Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. And I want to talk a little bit about WordPress. We talk a lot of bit about WordPress on this podcast. That is my platform of choice. It is really what we recommend for all of our clients and kind of what we use for all of our clients. But I also understand that it's not always the easiest to get started with. So today, I'm going to talk about reasons why we maybe would steer somebody away from WordPress and why it might not be the right fit for you. So that's what we're going to talk about today in this episode. So I hope you enjoy it. But before we get into it, this episode is brought to you by our WordPress templates. So we have templated websites that you can choose from, and then we'll go ahead and set up your website for you, upload the Divi, upload the templates, upload your colors, your fonts, and all you have to do is go in and put in your copy and your images. So you can have a 4-page website on WordPress all done, ready to go in 5 days. Just 5 days. How cool is that? So definitely something to think about as you listen to this episode, but you can find them all at thefirstclick.net/templates. Check them out and let me know what you think. But for now, let's get into the episode. You're listening to the Digital Marketing Therapy Podcast. I'm your host, Sammy Bedell-Mulhern, and each week I bring you tips from myself and other experts, as well as hot seats with small business owners and entrepreneurs to demystify digital marketing and get you on your way to generating more leads and growing your business. So before we get into this, if WordPress is the right platform for you and why maybe it's not, I want to make sure we differentiate between WordPress.com and WordPress.org. So the website platform that we build all of ours on is WordPress.org. That is the WordPress itself is free. Right? WordPress.org itself is free. It's an open source platform. Anybody can create anything for it. That part of it is free. That's the one that has all of the functionality that you could ever imagine. WordPress.com is a paid platform and operates a little bit similarly to like how Squarespace or Wix or Weebly might operate. They handle the hosting and all of that for you, so you do pay them a monthly fee. So I just want to make sure that when we're talking about why maybe WordPress isn't the right tool for you in this episode, we are talking specifically about WordPress.org, the free version of WordPress. Okay. I wanted to make sure that was clear. I can link up information to that. I think we've done some other blog post or podcast episodes on that. So I will link that up so that you have that information in the show notes. But that's just a very important distinction that I want to make sure you are aware of. So, like I mentioned, WordPress.org is open source. And so there are a lot of developers that are out there creating themes, creating builders, creating plugins, like all of the things, right? Like if you have an e-commerce store, then you might use WooCommerce, which is a plugin and then has a whole nother set of things. So one of the reasons why WordPress might not be the right fit for you is because if you aren't really sure about where you're going and what you need your website to do, you can very easily go down a rabbit hole of all of the different options that are out there for you. And if you don't really know exactly what you're looking for, you can waste a lot of time and energy and money trying to figure out which pieces you want to put into the WordPress website. So the plugins are really something that a lot of people will talk about as major cons for WordPress and why you might not want to do it. If you are really clear in what you want, what you need, and you feel, very aligned with that, then by all means, it could be a great option. And the other thing that I'll say is we tend to try to do too much all at once instead of just making it simple. So like the templates that I talked about earlier, they're 4 pages. We don't need to have these crazy, robust websites. So get what you need to get done. Think about the minimum amount of things that you need to get out there to have a website that's up and functioning, knowing you can always add to it as you go. So if you don't know what you need your website to do, then maybe WordPress isn't the right thing. Maybe just getting a simple page up on a different platform would be better. And I don't mean to say that you have to know like forever and ever and ever. Like we're in the process of redoing our websites and updating the messaging and cleaning things up right now. And we do that at least once a year, if not multiple times a year. I'm not saying we redo the entire website, but we're tweaking, refining, and making sure that everything is up to date for what we need it to be. So the next reason why WordPress might not be for you is if you don't know what your goals are and you don't have a budget in place for how your website fits into that, whether that's in a marketing budget, a tech budget, whatever that looks like for you. Yes, WordPress itself is free, but pretty much all of the plugins that a lot of the plugins that you're going to be utilizing, they'll have an additional cost. So we love to use Divi by Elegant Themes as our builder, and it has a cost associated with it. Also, even though WooCommerce, which is an e-commerce platform itself, is free, you typically have to pay for those integrations that you need, whether it be your credit card processor, whether it be your shipping, like how you automate shipping. It might even, if you have an online course, all of those things. So really understanding the cost, because it can add up really quick with WordPress on a monthly or an annual basis. Now, the plugins themselves individually are not that expensive. Some of them are. I think the most we've paid for one is like $199. But you really need to weigh all of that. So if you're not ready to do that, if you don't have a budget, if you're really trying to bootstrap, the nice thing about some of the other platforms is you know what your monthly cost is going to be, and that's typically what it is. The downside is you don't have as many integration opportunities, but there's a lot that you can do with that. So make sure you understand your budget. Otherwise, WordPress can get out of hand real quick and you can be paying for lots of things. And what typically happens is you'll start, down the road, you'll add a thing here, you'll add a thing here, you'll add a thing here. So it doesn't all necessarily happen at once, but I shouldn't say they're all, unless you buy lifetime versions. Most of the time, you're going to be paying for these on an annual basis. So really make sure that you're keeping track of that so you don't all of a sudden get hit with a bill that you weren't expecting and throw your budget completely out of whack. So plugins can add up. So if you're not staying on top of that, then WordPress might not be the best option for you. The other thing that I'll say is timeliness. If you're not very tech savvy, if you haven't built a website before, and you are in a time crunch or you really need to get something up and running quickly, then it might not be that WordPress is right for you. Especially if you're trying to DIY it. It can be a little bit confusing. And like I said, you can go down the rabbit hole of all of the things, and everybody you talk to is going to have their kind of tech stack of tools that they like to use. And it can be hard to understand, well, why should I use this or should I not use that? And it just can be really confusing. So being really clear, I guess, is the moral of this episode with WordPress. If you're not clear and you're in a hurry and you really need to get something up and running, another platform might be a good option for you. And it might be a better way for you to get started. I really feel that just getting something up and running is better than having no website at all. And you might hear all sorts of things about WordPress, Squarespace, Wix, Weebly, whatever. And how do they rank with SEO? How do they do with traffic? How do they do with analytics? Like you're going to hear, everybody's going to have their own opinions about that. So don't get bogged down in that too much. Make sure you're just getting started, getting things up and running. And if you've had a website for a while and you're ready to transition or expand it, whether you're switching platforms or you're just adding more features to your existing WordPress website, the same things apply that we're talking about here, right? Like really making sure you're super clear on what it is that you want to accomplish with your website. What are your funding resources to be able to support that? Can you hire somebody out to do it? And that's going to be kind of one of the last things that I want to talk about here is if you're not experienced in building websites, you're probably going to at some point need to hire somebody to build out your WordPress site to really get the most out of it, to really maximize all of the options, to maximize their expertise. You know, when people are telling us about this is what I need our website to do, because we build so many websites, because we're in this industry, we know about the best plugins to use, or the ones that we've had the most success with, or the ones that cost the least amount of money, or even with a developer, they might have access to premium plugins that you get for free just because you had them build it. So you really want to keep that in mind. And if, you know, paying a developer isn't something that you want to do, then WordPress might just be super frustrating for you and might not be what you want. And I don't say that because I'm trying to get your business. I've just seen so many people waste time and energy, and your time is your money, and you need to get something up. So just get something up so that you can start reaching out to customers and grow and expand and start reaching out to donors. Working with a developer can be a very frustrating experience, and it is for so many of our customers and clients. And if it all really comes down to, if you are not clear with what you want, then you're not going to end up with the result that you need. And it doesn't mean that you have to know. I don't want you to go into your website and think, okay, I have to know exactly what I want it to look like. I have to know exactly the functionality that I want. But if you can be really clear in, this is, you know, a year from now, I will be super excited if I have X amount of visitors, or if I've made X amount of sales for my website, or if I have added 10 more monthly recurring donors. Like, just even understanding all of those things very specifically. You know, these are the events that we have coming up in the next couple of years that we know we're going to want to highlight. If you're working with a good developer, they can help you either say, okay, well, yeah, what you're saying, you'd be better off using this platform. Or they can say, yep, I got it. These are all the things that we'll need to make that happen, and this is what the cost is going to be associated with it. So you don't need to know the tech that you need. You just need to know exactly what you want the website to do. So those are some reasons why WordPress might not be the right fit for you. Really think about it, think hard about it. It's not fun to switch platforms, but it's something that can be done. It's more about getting out there, taking action, and getting things moving. So if you have any other questions about why maybe you should or shouldn't use WordPress, make sure to hit us up on Facebook or Instagram at The First Click Marketing. And I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I'd love to hear if there's any other topics that make sense that you would love to hear about and learn more about. That's always helpful to me to make sure we're providing value to you during these episodes. But subscribe wherever you listen. And thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen to me ramble about WordPress. We'll see you in the next one.